Cat the other day, I say, you new activists kill me because you
act
like I ain't been activated already.
Right.
We've been waiting on y'all.
And that's it.
We've been waiting on y'all. My name's Sir Irvin James Williams III. I am born and raised from St. Louis on the north side. Well, when we first heard about Mike Brown, and what people don't really realize is that St. Louis knew about Mike Brown's death 4 hours probably before the rest of the world knew about Mike Brown's death. And we literally watched this young man body sit in the streets for over 4 hours without anybody covering him. Mike Brown was my nephew. Mike Brown was myself. Mike Brown was every underprivileged African-American male that has been stereotyped in the country.
The beginning of all of it, I looked at it as that could have been my brother. So for me, I automatically wanted to become a part of it. To know that this boy lost his life, I mean, that gives you automatic all right to fight. I mean, you want to fight because it feels like it's you. You connect to it.
We heard about Mike Brown. I understood right then and there that the time was now for us to be more involved, and more involved in a way socially and politically that we've never been involved before. So I guess that's where all of these, all of the protests and everything started.
I just wanted to be a part of something that stood for all the crap that we've gone through. I mean,
they became real. They got real quick. You had people who were out there in Ferguson, and first of all, let me explain St. Louis. Okay, let me explain St. Louis. Let me do that first, so then you'll get this explanation. The way St. Louis is made up, everyone from St. Louis understands that Ferguson isn't Ferguson. Ferguson is St. Louis. So we don't go around saying Ferguson, Missouri before this happened. Nobody said Ferguson, Missouri.
But from this point, with the protests and the die-ins, it's been scary. I mean, hell, people don't care anymore. That's what I'm starting to realize, is that there are people who care and those who really just don't care. And to see how it's still a divide. It's still a divide amongst black people, a divide amongst blacks and white. I mean, I still can go somewhere or be a part of a protest and black people are like, what are they doing? Hell, even around here, what is she doing? I'm like, man, it's our neighborhood. We got to do something about it because nobody else is going to do anything.
So for this to happen, how you doing, young ladies? Praising Black Jesus. How y'all doing? So for this to happen in Ferguson, this was something that was detrimental because everyone that's from St. Louis understands that Ferguson, although it may be 85-90% African-American, Ferguson is not the neighborhood where you hear about murders and you hear about deaths. That is not Ferguson. The first death that was in Ferguson happened to be Mike Brown's. So unfortunately, this lady's son had to become a martyr in that pretense, because had this happened on North Side St. Louis, it wouldn't have been a story. Had this happened on West Side St. Louis, this wouldn't have been a story. Had it happened on South Side St. Louis, it wouldn't have been a story, because those places are known for poverty. They're known for crime rates. But since it happened in Ferguson, and Ferguson's not known for poverty, and they're not known for all of these crime rates, that's what gave it the fuse, because that was the first time that white America and other Americans realized that there is an issue that's going on in the city of St. Louis. The racism that exists in St. Louis, it exists other places, but other places more passive. In the city of St. Louis, we're very segregated, we're very divided. Black stay here, white stay here, orange stay here, yada, yada, yada. What really made us get involved with Mike Brown is that because we understood that not only are they killing black boys, they're killing black boys at a massive rate. It's becoming a sport. It's becoming something to do. It's becoming the next big news story. So,
and it was, what do we do from this point? Because I've sat through the Trayvon, I've sat through everything else where I couldn't do anything about it. And it's like, now I'm able to do something about it. Now I'm an adult. Now I can say I have the freedom to do this, and that's what it was. It was that trigger. It was that I can do this now. And
Trayvon Martin was almost like a sacrificial lamb for people to start killing black boys in mass rates. And ever since the Trayvon Martin incident, you've had other people that come out like Eric Garner. You had Mike Brown. You had Corey. You had so many different young African American males being killed. And so what really made me go out and start protesting, because I realized I could not sit idle in at all. I was never doing it in the first place, but I definitely wasn't going to do it on this particular incident. So I decided to speak up. I decided to grab some of my friends. We decided to go out there. Things that they're not going to report on the news. Now, please do not edit this out. Things that were happening the day Mike Brown died that people do not tell. They put a scrambler in the entire city of Ferguson, Hazelwood, every place that's in North County or St. Louis. So all the news that were receiving on Facebook, it was 2 hours, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, because people could not call out. They had to drive to other municipalities to actually tell you what was going on in Ferguson, and then it'd be reported 25, 30 minutes later. So they basically, what they did was made sure they accumulated a great deal of information to make sure that when the story about Mike Brown was going to be released, they were going to be able to tear down his character and build up their case. And that's exactly what happened.
Not just Mike Brown, not just Trayvon, but the ones before that. Heck, I didn't even know a lot of the ones that I learned when this happened. I educated myself a lot to where history books would never teach you that. And they would never teach you about Oscar Grant and before Fruitvale Station. I mean, they would never teach you about that. So to know that this is happening just about every day is scary.
We understand in St. Louis that it cannot go back to what it used to be. It would never go back to what it used to be. People that was out in Ferguson and in the city of St. Louis, they made their mark. They're making history. We understand that we have politicians and administrators and all of these other people. We're fighting for equality. We're fighting for simple things like a black bank in the city of St. Louis, or a strip mall, or being able to go to a restaurant, or not being profiled by the police. Or we're fighting for those things. So when this is all said and done, and Ferguson is no longer a story, or St. Louis is no longer a story, and everybody go back to the comfortability of being unevenly equal in the city of St. Louis. Understand there are people that are still out here fighting for this same struggle, particularly with Mike Brown.
I think all around, I wanted to make sure that I didn't do anything in vain. I put something up on Instagram not too long ago. Like, I wanted a son. I wanted my first child to be a son, and I'm like, I'm actually glad I have a daughter. At this point, it's almost scary. Like, do you really want to have a son in this day and age? A black son at that. For the future, I hope we remain to educate ourselves. That's the first thing. Not necessarily out of textbooks and getting our degrees, but educate ourselves and choose to educate our kids. I mean, if we don't educate our kids, we're all lost. That's it. So letting them know that we're people, we're part of this country more than anybody else wants us to see. We're actually the biggest part of this country because no one wants us to see. And they're doing their job. They're making us not believe that we're important, that we're the most important kid in this country.